Welcome to HypeTrain, guys. Today we've got a simple history one for you. This is Attack of the Dead Men. World War I, of course. We only just did the Sabaton.
Yes, it's Sabaton, Attack of the Dead Men. Yeah, I saw this through the Simple History channel, going through their videos, dissecting it bit by bit, and I thought, oh, we just covered that on the Sabaton reactions. So yeah, it'd be quite interesting to see if there's anything else in there worthwhile watching or finding out about. But then we realised it's actually quite a short video. It's only like 3-4 minutes long. But yeah, if there's any other Simple History or history programs you'd like us to react to that are your favourites, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget, they all go out early via our early access at Patreon page. Help support us there, and we will give you things like early access, days in advance.
Click subscribe down there and
click
the bell,
subscribe, notification bell, and
get our next videos.
All the other kind of things we try and force you into in these troubled times. So anyway, should we go for this?
Let's take a look.
Attack of the Dead Men, 1915, World War I. The Auschwitz fortress was constructed in the 19th century by the Russian Empire in what is now northeastern Poland to defend its borders against Germany. In the First World War, the fortress would be heavily contested between German attackers and Russian defenders. The Germans had made their first assault onto the fortress in September 1914, using large caliber artillery guns, bombarding the fortress for 6 days. After intense shelling, the Germans confidently launched an attack on the fortress. However, Russian artillery and infantry counterattacks forced them back with a swift withdrawal. A second German attack was attempted in February to March 1915. The Germans were again optimistic with their new heavy 420mm caliber Big Bertha cannons. The fortress was bombed with intensity, including from the air, which it was presumed by the German command would cause the quick surrender of its Russian defenders. The Russian command also had a similar notion and ordered that the fortress be held for just 48 hours after the evacuation. Remarkably, even with massive damage to the fortress and high Russian casualties, it would be held for months, and the Russian artillery bombardment forced the German guns to again pull back. In early July 1915, the German troops were now under the command of Field Marshal von Hindenburg, who began a new offensive.
That sounds a
This
tough
time,
night,
they decided to use poison gas to achieve their objective, as they knew the Russian defenders didn't have gas masks. 30 heavy artillery guns and 30 gas batteries were brought in range, and with the wind in their favor, the gas was launched at the fortress on August 6th. Along with the artillery bombardment, a dark green smog of chlorine and bromine moved towards the Russian positions. The grass turned black, and the tree leaves turned yellow. The Russian guns and shells made from copper were caked in a layer of green chlorine oxide. The Russian 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th companies were all but annihilated in the gas coverage. Once the gas had cleared, 14 German battalions numbering around 7,000 Landwehr troops moved in to capture the burnt trenches. But as they approached the positions, a shocking sight took them by surprise, as the remaining soldiers of the Russian 8th and 13th companies, who had come into contact with the poison gas, counterattacked with all they had left. These troops attacked the Germans with their bayonets, showing signs of chemical burns on their faces, with their bodies wrapped up in rags, spitting out blood and pieces of their lungs. The sight was so terrifying to the approaching German troops that they went into a panic, retreating back to their own positions and trampling over each other while falling onto their own barbed wire. The Russian forces then returned rifle fire and killed many of the retreating Germans with artillery. 2 weeks later, the remaining Russian survivors of the Auschwitz fortress evacuated. The newspapers would later call this the Attack of the Dead Men. A huge thank you to
that tells you so much more than what we just got to see or read about in the comments of the Sabaton video, didn't it?
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, that was a great song, and it was intriguing to learn a little bit about it. We did Google a little bit about it, but that kind of, for me, gave a bit more.
Yeah, sometimes a sort of cartoony sort of image of it is worth a million words, and it just made it so clear, doesn't it? It's illegal now, isn't it? I don't know if it's illegal worldwide to use gas. We know it has been used a few times lately, but it's not supposed to be used.
Yeah, you're right. They thought they were guns anyway, so why not?
No point sitting down and just dying if you could take on the people that actually just hurt you.
Yeah, and you really need to think about that. It's easy to say, but actually put that into action in your mind. Think what they were going through.
The pain must have been.
And you know you're not going to go back home and see your families or loved ones or friends or whatever anymore, and you're there. And that's the thing we should never ever forget. not in just this
That's
war,
why
but
this is
any
good
other
to see,
wars.
isn't it?
It's absolutely, and that's why I love looking at the history. I never appreciated it when I was a kid. Yes, I did history at school. I never appreciated it. Now I'm getting older, more mature and wiser. I do appreciate it, and I could not but imagine being in that trench or them fields, and then no, I'm never going to see my children or my wife or my friends and that again, family, and just try and put yourself in them shoes just for a few minutes, and that will give you some sort of realisation.
Well, that's it. I mean, I can remember even when I was younger, but you remember all the kids in the UK used to have a little box around the kids' gas mask in there, and the adults had their gas masks they carried with them all the time. You don't really think why. I know you think, oh, yeah, case gas, but when you see that, you go, wow, yeah, I can understand why they...
Try and understand it, yeah. You appreciate it at least a little bit more
than
what we've not. So, let us know your thoughts though. The Simple Histories, Attack of the Dead Men, they're strange stories. That's a fascinating tale to tell, or story, true life fact, not fiction. Other than that, if you're still here, thanks for joining us. So see you in the next one.
Catch you on the flip side.